Hello YouTubers, this is cessnaace back again with another new arrivals video. For week 2, that would be new arrivals of comic books and trade paperbacks. Now eventually I'll also be showing in these videos digests once they start coming in. Now for those of you who saw the video I uploaded last night, you'll no doubt be experiencing deja vu because that covered new arrivals for week 2. And as you've no doubt noticed from the title of this video, this covers new arrivals for week 2. Well, I took that video down. Not for technical reasons. There weren't any problems with the audio. We haven't had any problems with the audio since getting this blue snowball ice microphone. And there weren't any drop frames. And I explained in that video why there shouldn't be any more drop frames going forward. It has more to do with the fact that I've always considered this to be a family-friendly channel, and I wasn't as careful as I should have been showing some of the comics that I did show in last night's video, which is the reason I took it down. I wasn't contacted by anybody from YouTube or Patreon. Now, something that I have noticed, while this has been a thing with some obscure comic book publishers like Comics, spelled C-O-M-I-X, and Radio Comics, spelled C-O-M-I-X, I'm starting to see this become a trend with the more mainstream publishers like Dynamite. What am I talking about? Covers, at least cover variations, that show topless females, either fully or partially. And some of those slip through. Now, I was careful on the more egregious examples. However, I've decided to be even more careful going forward, which is why I'm redoing that video. And I should get further in this time than I did last time, because there are over 70 new arrivals in this box, and I was only able to show just over 30 in last night's video. It is no longer up. I know I've said that already, but bears repeating. Also, something that bears repeating is I wish to thank all those who left their condolences for the sudden, for us, certainly devastating death of our family cat, Buster. She was fine 1 minute and gone the next. And as I mentioned in last night's video, the vet said that it was comparable to congestive heart failure in a human. Anyway, for those of you who left condolence messages either here on YouTube or on Facebook, I greatly appreciate the sentiment. Now, I don't exactly remember who left comments where. I did get more messages of condolence on Facebook than I did here on YouTube, but that's easily explained because a lot of the friends that I have on Facebook are family, although a lot of them aren't. In fact, I couldn't have as many family members as I have friends on Facebook. I have more friends on Facebook, is what I'm saying, than I have subscribers on YouTube. So I know, like, Charlie Burkett is one person in the gaming community who posted his condolences on Facebook. I remember that. And I remember McElligott as being one of my Patreon supporters who left condolences to the video that I posted last night. However, that video is gone, so that message of condolences is gone also. Anyway, Mark and everyone else, I greatly appreciate your sentiments. Now, on to this video. I'm starting right where I started yesterday with this. My new price guide. Isn't it shiny? This is the 48th edition. There were various cover variations available. I went with this one. As you no doubt have noticed, this is a hardcover edition as opposed to a soft cover, because the softcover editions that I've always bought in the past, I have found don't hold up. This is because I refer to the price guide often, and also there are extensive comic book market reports that have been submitted to Overstreet and published in here. There's pages and pages of them, and I read them. So there's that. All right, from Action Lab, Volume 2, Issue 1 of Adventure Finders. And I'm beginning to regret having turned off this fan. Because you know, technically the state of Florida is in the tropics. And we are right in Hurricane Alley. Which runs up the east coast of the United States for those of you outside of the U.S. Okay, as I mentioned in last night's video, I used to have a complete set of this 2-issue miniseries from Yoe Comics. It is an American manga series, 2 issues long. However, issue 1 was damaged in a flood caused by a hurricane. I don't know why issue 2 wasn't, but here it is, my original issue 2. This is my replacement copy for issue 1. Now, this is a very inexpensive series to get on Yoe Comics' site. In fact, I believe the value pack on these 2 issues is slightly more than if you were to buy the issues separately. That's strange, but anyway, something that they do that I like is I generally, when I order comics from them, order them 8 at a time. And so they include a bonus comic with a little note like that. Now, I made the mistake when showing this last night of showing the end panel of this first issue and not saying spoiler alert. So I'm not going to even show it this time. But as I explained in that video, this is about a teenage girl in high school who is contemplating ending her life, and she is in a coma, and her imaginary friend from childhood is trying to see how the way she is looking at things is wrong. I won't say how the series ends, other than it's not a downer. All right. Now, in the past, I've already shown issue 1 in this series. I've already read issue 1. Issue 2 just came in the other day. This is from Dark Horse Comics, Aliens Rescue. This, I believe, is cover A. Doesn't say, but I believe this is cover B. It's the same issue. Okay, now we're back with Yoe Comics and an anime series that is actually Japanese. They licensed it, they translated it into English, however it's formatted in the style typically found in American comics as opposed to manga. And I know I found 2 pages that I could show without any problem. So far, I've read the first 2 issues, and there is no sex so far, but there is some female nudity, so I can't show everything. And while I showed the cover last night, I'm not showing the cover tonight. In fact, I can't believe I showed the cover last night. I bought the first value pack for this series, so I wound up paying about $15 for the first 4 issues. This is issue 2. It is marked mature readers. However, you'll notice that it has the REDUX Comics. I can't talk. It's got the REDUX Comics imprint on it. Be a totally different thing if it had the Sen Factory imprint on it. Issue 3. And issue 4. Okay, in the past I have shown a few issues I've gotten in so far of a series from Archie called Archie vs. Predator 2. Now that is a follow-up miniseries to one that I had missed, the original Archie vs. Predator. Instead of trying to hunt down the individual issues, I simply purchased the trade paperback, which I was able to pre-order because it had not quite released when I placed my order. Okay, speaking of Dynamite, which I know I did earlier, this is from Dynamite. This particular character has been around since the late 60s. Started off with Warren Comic Publications in black and white in magazine format, and has been published by various comic book publishers ever since. This is issue 1 of Barbarella. So far, the only issue I have, although I'm subscribed to this series, eventually I'll start getting the more current issues in, and then I'll start filling in more of the holes. This is, I think I showed this already, Barbarella Digithoris number 1. Now, Digithoris is a character from the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe, and that this miniseries is a crossover. I know this is a new arrival for sure. Issue 2. I believe this is the main cover. This is not, it's cover D. And this looks like it's the main cover for issue 3. Okay, as mentioned in last night's video, there was a pinup model in the 50s. I may be old, but I'm not that old. I was born in 58, so I'm too young, if you can believe that, to actually remember Betty Page, spelled with a Y, her real name, but her professional name, she spelled it with an I-E. This is from Dynamite, and it is issue 3 of Betty Page Unbound. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a Betty Page comic without at least the option of ordering a cover variation that used a photo taken of her, one of her pinup photos. So this is the photo variant of issue 3. Now, I totally missed out on the series that Dynamite published before this one, featuring Betty Page. Now, you're just going to have to trust me when I say that I have issue 1 of Big Funnies from Yoe Comics, because I can't show the cover. And I can't show the interior pages either. It's called Big Funnies. I bought it as an experiment to see what the Sin Factory comics were like. And now I know. I bought this series too as part of a value pack. And while I'm not going to show issue 1, I am going to show issue 2. Issue 1 had the Yoe Comics imprint on it. This one has the Sin Factory imprint on it. Although they both have published by Yoe Comics in the indices. This is issue 3. Her nipples aren't exposed, so and I can't show any of issue 4, but I have it. Okay, this is a series that I'm subscribed to from IDW. This is Canto, and the first issue I got was issue 2. However, I did double check, and I've got issue 1 set to be shipped to me in the next massive shipment, which will be on the 11th. So I must have pre-ordered or back-ordered it or something. But at least I know that I've got it. And generally you can't order the same issue with the same cover without a warning coming up saying that you've already ordered it. So I've run across that a couple of times. Okay, this is from American Mythology Productions. It takes place in the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe. This is Carson of Venus, Warlord of Mars. Now, as I mentioned in last night's video, that is no longer up, as I've mentioned ad infinitum. I love American mythology. So what I did was I did a search at Things from Another World through publishers. You could search by publishers. And I did a search by the publisher American Mythology Productions and subscribe to every title they've got, including this one. Now, from videos that I had done in the past, you might have thought that they only publish kids' titles, because I'd shown things like Laurel and Hardy and Laurel and Hardy Classic Follies and Underdog, but they do publish other things. They are, however, the current license holder to print or to publish comics featuring Casper the Friendly Ghost and all his friends. And this is issue 6 of Casper's Capers. Now, I have gone on eBay and purchased the first 5 issues. This series, I believe, is strictly for reprints. Yes, all 3 stories. Spooks at School, Casper the Friendly Ghost, issue 13, 1953, The Pen Pal, Easy as Eskimo Pie and Water Babies, from Casper the Friendly Ghost 24, 1954, and Happy Day from Hot Stuff, issue 16. However, this next series is primarily made up of new stories with 1 reprint in each issue. At least that's how I understand it. This is Casper's Ghostland, issue 2. It's the earliest I managed to get at Things from Another World. However, I have since gone on eBay and purchased issue 1. Now, originally Casper's Ghostland was published by Harvey, of course, and made it as high as, I believe, issue 99. And then in the 90s, they brought it back for 1 issue. That series was known for mixing reprints with new material. And that's what this series does. In fact, the first story, What Goes Up, is new. The second one, Jokers Are Wild, is new. And the third one, Wendy the Good Little Witch, in Witch Bewitched. Originally presented in Casper's Ghostland number 15, October 1962. That's one of the new stories. And let me get to the reprint. Excuse me, please. Okay, this is issue 1 of Casper's Spooksville. Now, this next one is one of several in here that was printed on demand at Indie Planet. Something I did not know until recently. Indie Planet is located here in Florida. I found this out because I've had problems logging into my account, so I've had to place orders while not logged in, which you can do there. You can't do that at, for example, Dynamite. So I've placed the last 4 orders that I've placed, not being able to sign in. Now, I did contact them on their Facebook page, and I got contacted pretty quickly, stating that they were not in their office due to the Hurricane Dorian, and being that they were in Florida, that was the reason why. And so I sent her back a message stating I understood, because I live in Florida, right on the coast. Well, in a coastal city. We don't live at the beaches. But Jacksonville is in the northeastern corner of Florida. Anyway, those of you familiar with Mort Todd, he is the man who is behind trying to keep the memory and the essence of Charlton Comics alive. So his comic book company, Comicfix, not to be confused with Comicflix, 2 different companies, but he publishes comics that are related to Charlton. This is the Charlton Arrow. Now, this is from Volume 1. In fact, it is issue 3. There are 6 issues in Volume 1, and they are up to issue 5 on Volume 2. Now, some of what he publishes, totally new material, while other things are new material based on characters not acquired by DC. But they also publish reprints, some reprints. Okay, this is from Antarctic Press, Cookie and the Kid, number 1. I have not read this yet. This is from Valiant, and it is issue 1 of Dr. Mirage. Now, at some point I'm going to have to get the first 5 issues because my subscription started with issue 6. Cover price $5.99. This is Disney Afternoon Giant with Chip and Dale. And as I mentioned in the video I took down, I don't file this series under DuckTales, I filed it under Disney DuckTales. This is issue 1 of the miniseries Disney DuckTales Silence and Science. That's cover A. This is cover B. I was sad when I found out that Bongo Comics went out of business last year. But the whole reason Bongo Comics started in the first place was because they felt that there was a lack of comics for small children or young children, whatever. Well, that's no longer the case. In fact, one of the surprise breakouts hits from DC Comics are the crossovers that they've been doing between the Looney Tunes and the various DC superheroes. Okay, this series eventually wound up at Radio Comics, but started off at Antarctic Press. This is issue 19 of Furlough. I have a lot of issues of this series. I'm trying to fill the holes. Now, this is a really long-running series, over 190 some odd issues, most of which were published monthly. Eventually, though, Radio Comics would reduce the frequency to whenever they felt like it. That was the page I showed yesterday, so I will show something different. Now, as I stated, this is an anthology series, and initially all of the stories centered on war themes. But gradually they started adding other genres like action-adventure, science fiction, fantasy, that sort of thing. Now, Antarctic Press canceled this series with issue 51. Radio Comics, two of the employees at Antarctic Press left and started Radio Comics, and they took Furlough with them, and Genus. Antarctic Press wanted to change their image or something, because when they canceled Furlough, it was still popular and profitable. And Radio Comics published it monthly for a long time. Alright, as I teased in last night's video, how far in are we? 32 minutes. The EC comics, horror comics, which I love, have been reprinted almost constantly for quite a while. However, there are other horror titles out there, other horror anthologies from the 50s that deserve consideration. And Yoe Comics, which is an imprint of IDW, has two series that addresses that. One of them being Haunted Horror. Now, this is issue 6. Costs $3.99. I know because I'm looking right at the invoice. Now, this story, for example, was published in Voodoo, issue 16, July-August 1954. Okay. On the right-hand page, a story begins from Erie, issue 16, June-July 1954. Published by Avon Periodicals. Now, they publish a number of trade paperbacks that group everything together by zombies or what have you. Okay, this is issue 7. Unfortunately, IDW is out of stock on issues 8 and 9. So I'm going to have to get those on eBay. Issue 10. And IDW is out of stock on issue 12. Issue 13. Now these stories all have the same kind of twist endings that EC Comics are known for, with a great deal of morality tale, thrown in. Okay, they have a 3-issue miniseries called Haunted Love. This is issue 1. And there's no way for you to see this, but a blind person could see this. It feels kind of like Braille. As does the back. Okay, one of the stories is from Baffling Mysteries, number 14, March 1953, Ace Magazines. They credit the artist. They generally don't credit the author or the writer. Okay, number 2. And number 3. Now, when this came in, I wrote down that I do need to buy the first issue because my subscription started with issue 2 from Antarctic Press, Yoe Comics. Now this is a facsimile of an issue that was published, I don't know when it was published. Anyway, this is The House of Secrets, number 92. But it's basically a reproduction. Even the back has an ad for Hot Wheels that is copyrighted 1971. House of Secrets 92 Facsimile Edition, published by DC Comics. Originally published in single magazine form as House of Secrets 92. Copyright 1971 DC Comics. Even the inside front cover has an ad. And sorry, Jughead, you're going to have to wait until a subsequent video. Until next time. Oh, I did shout out a Patreon supporter. I did mention one. I believe I mentioned Mark McElligott. Until next time, stay awesome.